Okay, in this video we are going to be going over long division, both understanding the process, but also, um, as with my other videos, we're really focusing on understanding what's happening when we do long division. So we're going to start with the problem 75 divided by 3. Okay? Um, Now, in the last video about division, I talked about how when we're doing division in our head, we can also think about it in terms of multiplication, right? In terms of multiplying up. So I'm thinking 3 times what number gets me to 75, or how many times would I have to count by 3 to get up to 75? Okay, so before we get into the long division algorithm, let's look on a number line, and we're actually going to do the exact math that's going to happen in the long division. We're going to multiply up. So if we look at our 3 times tables, right, is there any times table fact here that could help us make a big jump in terms of multiplying up towards 75? Right? The fact that's going to be key for us here is actually the 3 times 2 is 6. Because if 3 times 2 is equal to 6, well, what else do I know? I know 3 times 20 is 60. Or I even know 3 times 200 is 600, right? But this 60 is going to work for us because we're starting at 0. We need to get up to 75. 60 gets us pretty close, right? If I jump to 90, that's too far. But the 60 works for us. So we jump right to 60. That is 3 times 20. Okay? How much are we missing? How much is still left over? How many more do we need? Well, that's subtraction. 75 minus 60, there's 15 left over, okay? But we're a lot closer. Well, is there any 3 times table that could help me make this jump? Yes, right here. 3 times 5 is 15. Okay, now how many times did I have to multiply by 3 to get up to 75? 25 times in total, right? 20 and 5, so 25 times total. So this is exactly what's happening when we do long division. So let's take a look at that. 75 divided by 3. Something that sometimes trips people up is the order kind of flips here when we do long division, right? The divisor, the number that we're dividing by, goes here on the left side, and the dividend, the number being divided, goes here. Okay. Remember, we call our answer in division the quotient. That'll be up here. All right. So long division, we're going to say, how many times can 3 go into 7? Well, I look at my 3 times tables. 3, it fits. 6 fits. 9 is too much, right? So it can only go in 2 times. Goes in 2 times. 2 times 3 is 6. And then we subtract. 7 minus 6 gives me 1 left over. And then I bring down the next digit after I subtract. Okay, so if we had to list out these steps, 1, we're going to think of times tables, right? What's the biggest times table of 3 that isn't more than 7? That's 3 times 2. Okay, then we're going to multiply. Then we subtract or find the difference. And then lastly, we're going to bring down the next digit. Okay, so we said times tables. 3 goes into 7 2 times. Multiply. 2 times 3 gives me 6. I subtract. 7 minus 6 leaves me 1 left over. And then I bring down the 5. Okay, after step 4, we go back to step 1. But instead of saying how many times can 3 go into 7, we're now saying how many times can 3 go into 15? Again, look at my times tables. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It goes in 5 times. Okay? 5 times 3 is 15. We subtract. There's nothing left over. That's how I know that it goes in nice and even. We're at exactly 25 times. Okay, I want to point out the similarities between what we did here and what we did here. Okay, do we see the 3 times 20 is 60? Yeah, this 6 is a 60. It's in the tens place, right? How many times did it go in? 20 times. Okay, leaving us with a 10 left over, and then we brought down the 5, right? Here's this 15, the 15 that was left over after we jumped right to 60. Okay? Great, let's look at a few more examples. Okay, so now we're going to look at 216 divided by 8. Just like with the last example, we're going to multiply up to it first on the number line before we look at how we would do it with long division. So let's put the number line down here. Okay, we're starting here at 0. We need to get to 216. I have the 8 times tables here. Okay, well, up to 8 times 9. Now let's look at these and think, are any of these would be helpful to have us make a big jump towards 216? So take a second, look through these. Okay. 16 is going to help us. 16 is 8 times 2. Well, if 8 times 2 is 16, what's a larger multiple that I know of 8? 8 times 20, which gets me to 160. So we can jump all the way here to 160. 8 times 20. What's left over? 56. Is there an 8 times table that helps us? Yes. 56 is one of our 8 times tables. It's 8 times 7. So in total, 8 goes into 216, right? 27 times. 8 times 27 is equal to 216. Okay, remember we could also think about this as 8 times what? Gets me 216. That's what we just did here. So as we're going through the long division process, let's look for some of these key numbers, right? Let's think about, do we see the 160? Do we see the 56? Do we see the 20? Do we see the 7? Okay? So remember, the divisor, 8, goes on the left. 216 goes inside. We start here. Times tables. 8 times tables. That's what we're thinking about. How many times can it go in? Can 8 go into 2? It cannot, because 8 times 1 is already more than 2, right? But it can go into 21. How many times? 2 times. So I put a 2, not above the 2, but above the 1 of the 21 right here. Goes in 2 times. 2 times 8 is 16. We subtract. I get 5 left over, and then I bring down the next digit. Ooh, there's my 50. There's my 56. And then we go back to step 1. How many times can 8 go into 56? It goes in exactly 7 times. We multiply, and there's nothing left over, right? Because it goes in exactly 7 times. When there's nothing left over and there's nothing left to bring down, that's how we know that we're finished. Okay, we're going to do one more example with a single digit divisor, and I'm not going to draw it out on the number line. I just want to focus right now on the process, okay? So the number being divided, the dividend goes inside, and then the divisor, the number that we're dividing by, goes outside. Okay. Focusing on our 7 times tables, because we're dividing by 7. How many times can 7 go into 27? What's my biggest times table here? Well, 28 is just barely too much. 21 works, which is 1, 2 times 3. Okay, next we multiply. 3 times 7 is 21. We basically put the times table down, right? Then we subtract. 6 left over, and we bring down the next digit. Okay, now we're going to repeat the process. Go back to our 7s. How many times can 7 fit into 67? That's 9 times. 9 times 7 is 63, right? Step 2, multiply. Step 3, subtract. 7 minus 3 is 4. 6 minus 6 is nothing. Okay, don't need to put the 0 if I don't want to. And we bring down the next digit. Seven goes into 42. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 times. Multiply. 6 times 7, 42. Subtract, we get nothing left over, and there's nothing left to bring down, so we are done. Our answer, our quotient, 396. Okay, so the last problem that we're going to look at involves division by a 2-digit number. Okay, we have a 2-digit divisor here. So 3,822 divided by 21. Okay, so the first step in long division, right, is to think how many times does 21 go into this number? And I can, sort of start. I know it can't go into 3. Why? Because 1 times 21 is already 21, which is more than 3. Okay? Can it go into 38? Yes, it can, right? It can definitely at least go in 1 time. How would I figure out what 2 times 21 is from here? Well, I could do it out, or I could remember that I just add 21 each time. So 21 plus 21 is 42. Okay, we see 42 is too big, so it can only fit in 1 time. 1 times 21 is 21. We subtract, we get 17 left over. We bring down the next digit. Okay, and then we repeat the process. So now we're asking, how many times can 21 go into 172? And now I feel like we don't have enough information, right? I don't know my 21 times tables. I'm sure it goes in quite a few times, but I don't know how many times, okay? So here's where we're gonna just kind of show a couple tricks we can use to get to the times table that we need. I know this is gonna be pretty big, and I also know it's gonna be pretty close to the 10 times tables. How do I know that? Because 21 times 10 is 210, right? And that's pretty close to 172. So instead of counting up, right, or just randomly guessing and then doing the multiplication out, I can jump right to 21 times 10. And then how can I go from there to 21 times 9? Well, I just subtract a 21, right? We're going from 10 groups of 21 to 9 groups of 21. So I have to borrow. I have to borrow again. 189. Okay, still bigger than 172, but getting pretty close. Let's go to 21 times 8. I take away another 21. 168, and that's going to work for us, right? So how many times can 21 go into 172? 8 times, right? 9 times is too much, but 8 times works. Goes in 8 times, which is 168. What's the next step? Subtract. Borrow. 12 minus 8 is 4. These both come out to 0. Bring down 2. And now we're back to the first step. Can 21 go into 42? Why, yes it can. How many times? 2 times. 2 times 21 is 42. We subtract. There's nothing left over. There's nothing left to bring down. That's how we know we are done. So our quotient, or our answer here, 182, right? Just a reminder, that also means, because multiplication and division are opposites, 182 times 21 is 3,822, right? These two facts go together. Okay, thank you for watching. I hope this video was helpful as far as furthering your understanding of long division, and I'll see you in the next one.